Hello, welcome to another episode of the A2theK Wrestling Show and another week in wrestling. Anthony, how you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. Still, honestly, and we'll talk about it when we get to it, but, what a week it's been.
What a week.
It's probably been one of the biggest weeks in wrestling for a long, long time, in all fairness, and I don't know if that's an overstatement or not, but we'll talk about it.
Did stuff happen? I can't,
Some stuff happened.
Yeah, a couple of things.
Just an hour's worth of stuff that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Not much else.
So, before Anthony, we dive right into that, of course, we have to ask our pal Road Dogg to sing us in for this week's A2theK little known fact of the week.
Oh, you didn't know?
Beautiful. So, of course, SummerSlam took place yesterday on a Saturday, weirdly enough. But
I prefer it. Being in the UK,
yeah.
to watch it at the ungodly hour we do, I so much prefer it on a Saturday.
It is a good point, because even if it's on a Sunday, even if you don't stay up and watch it live, it's like you've got work and you can't really find out properly and stuff like that. So yeah,
to avoid spoilers for the fucking day, it's ridiculous.
Exactly.
Yeah. Totally enjoyed the Saturday thing.
Yeah, me too. I hope to keep it up. But since it was SummerSlam, I thought, let's do a SummerSlam fact this week. So, during SummerSlam 1994, we were, of course, treated to The Undertaker versus The Undertaker, Brian Lee himself, who obviously Ted DiBiase was hailing as the real Undertaker. Obviously, you get a bit of a mixed response today. Some liked it, some loathed it, but whatever your opinion, this actually could have been much different. Now, the origin of this story is that the origin story of this fake Taker guy was never really explored, but we settled with him basically being an imposter and the real one won. But did you know the original ending of the match was not going to have either one as the winner, because instead, what was going to happen? The lights were going to go out, and as some sort of weird holographic spotlighty type thing would unfold, where effectively the two Undertakers would merge together into a single Undertaker. Been kind of weird, wasn't it?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, not out of the realms of possibility for WWE. And they've got the technology now.
They do. They have the technology. We can rebuild them. But yeah, so weird that. I'm gonna say that they made the right choice not to go with that. Just sound a little bit hokey. As hokey as you can be on top of two dead guys. Fighting each other, but still. So yeah, I didn't even know that one myself. That was new news to me. I would never have
known that was a thing. That is something we didn't know. That is definitely one of them.
That's it. And just another, little known A2theK fact of the week. And Road Dogg is going to sing us out once more.
Oh, you didn't know?
Beautiful, beautiful.
That's right. We certainly didn't, Road Dogg. We certainly didn't. So, Carl. Shall we kick off by talking about this week in wrestling? That is the week leading up to SummerSlam.
It is. And it was an interesting week, wasn't it? Some goods, some bads, but that's the point of this show.
If you take the goods and take the bads and take them both, and there you have the facts of wrestling.
That's it. Maybe we should rename the segment. I like that. So the first one we're going to talk to you about, so from Monday Night Raw, was RK Bro is back. They're together again, becoming a team, and even just the timing of Randy Orton saying RK, and then Riddle comes down to Bro, and it's just like, I like that. I see what you did there. But yeah, no, obviously these two are some of the better stuff coming out of Raw, which isn't hard, let's be honest, because nothing else really comes out of it that's even remotely decent.
Sadly no.
But yeah, so obviously big love for these two. I think it's a odd couple. Crazy thrown together. How will they get along? All that good stuff. But no, the whole ride's been good, and this them coming back together and being RK Bro and stuff. I think it was good. And obviously they go on to challenge New Day at New Day. No, they don't. AJ and Omos at SummerSlam. So some tag team. Who even knows? Anyway?
Tag team. Random tag team. Well, you know what, Carl? I'm going to have to jump straight over to SmackDown for my next one because, and I'll mention this now, I haven't really got any particular highlights coming out of NXT. Obviously, we're trying to talk WWE, and that's not to say NXT was bad, but there was nothing particular. This is whole point in the reformat because there's nothing that really needs to be talked about. It was doing exactly what it needed to do to build up to their takeover, but there was nothing to come from it that's worth discussing, in all fairness. So my next highlights, Carl, that I want to bring to the table this week is the way SmackDown handled their lead up to SummerSlam, in that we were more Edge and Rollins centric this week. So Edge opened the show, and then obviously we had that further I wouldn't really call it a promo, interaction, let's say, further on the night. And normally that is something that they do with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns opens the show every week. Roman Reigns closes the show every week. And whilst we did still get a segment for Roman and Cena, I thought it was a really good move to concentrate more on Edge and Rollins, because we are set and ready for Roman Cena. So I thought I wanted to give credit where credit's due, because I think it was a good move to concentrate more on these two this week.
Yeah, I will agree with you there.
And you know what? I didn't even mind the Brood thing, let's be honest. I was a bit tall. I was a bit up and down. The more I think about it, I'm like, okay, Brood, yeah, why not?
Oh, it's a good job we're not going to list that as an shite in a minute then.
I don't know. I do have some reservations for why it might not have worked very well, but I don't mind the Brood. We'll talk. I'll get to me shites, Carl. Let's talk about highlights.
We'll talk about that. I mean, this next one is our final highlight, and it's also controversial potentially. I didn't mind the Goldberg stuff this week. Don't shoot me.
No, I'm gonna.
No, I mean, obviously, everyone knows who listens to the show how we feel about old Bill. But yeah, I don't know. It was a better promo than we normally get from him. I mean, it was a promo. It made sense. He obviously didn't headbutt his door too hard before he came to the ring this week. The worrying thing is with it all is that his promo was better than Lashley's, because that dude cannot talk.
Worrying, not surprising though.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just sentimental in my old age. Obviously, he's there for his son. He wants to do it for his son. That's why he's, forget the paycheck. It's obviously not about that for his son.
It's a load of BS as well. His son's like, Dad, I really want to see you with a belt around your waist. It's like, no, you fucking don't.
I know, yeah. And it was funny. Shit. It was his son and all of his other fucking high school football team friends. Basically, just like, that's why I'm popular. My dad lets me come to wrestling shows again. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just sentimental in my old age, but I like the fact. Obviously, it was a
like I'm picturing you like watching Raw like this, like he did it for his son.
Just single tear rolls down my face. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't mind Goldberg this week. Didn't mind him.
Now, like you say, if you've got to pick one of them for being the better talker this week, it was him. You can't really deny that, but I'd love to. That's the main thing.
It's a worry, the fact that that is the case, but still.
So, Carl, let me talk. Right, let's move over to the shites, because I don't think we've got any more highlights. That's how sparse this week was for WWE. Let me talk about the reason that the Brood thing might not have worked. Right, so it is kind of an shite as well, and I didn't mind the Brood. I didn't mind the idea of tweaking some nostalgia. However, this reminded me more of The Fiend, which probably isn't a good idea for WWE. Because we had a moment, and it's Rollins they've picked as well, funnily enough, and in the ring just goes that bright red that they'd love to cast across any match that The Fiend had. And I'm like, it clearly we're going to be The Fiend, but I'm like, it feels very fiendish. And I don't know if it's just because I get PTSD maybe of like remembering their Hell in a Cell match. I don't know, but it's just like, I don't know. That's the reason it might not have worked well for me. I know they were going for the whole nostalgic thing of like, oh yeah, you're gonna like make me dad, and I can't remember how he put it, but he's gonna go to a darker place, and obviously he was referring to his Brood days. But let's face it, like, I would have got more of a pop if Gangrel would have rocked up, whatever reason. Obviously we can't have Christian, that wouldn't have worked, but could have had Gangrel just make a random appearance, or like one thing that didn't particularly bother me, but a lot of people have echoed, like, this is where it's very, very similar to what he was doing with old Debray when he was like, oh, he's going to have to go rated R to pull this out of the bag. And they're like, right, so you go back even further now? Need a bit of Rob Zombie going on. I don't know. Like, as I say, I didn't mind going for the nostalgic pop, but I don't think it was executed particularly well.
Yeah, I don't think it was needed. Like, we didn't need this element added to sell Edge versus Rollins, did we? Like,
I already thought it was going to be a banger of a match, so like it certainly didn't affect my opinion on what was going to happen at SummerSlam.
No, as soon as Edge came back, I think we both probably said like, "Oh, that's a match we want to see."
We
even
wanted that
way
before the
before
whole
they did it.
Roman Daniel debacle.
Yeah, of course we did. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit on the nose, wasn't it? Like, I'm going to go and find, a darker place. Oh, I know. I used to be in the Brood and dress as a vampire. I'll just do that again. That's cool, right? So
As long as
yeah.
he's not going to suck, your blood.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, I thought that the stuff falling on Seth, the way he sold it and stuff, his bright white suit and everything, that was all okay. That was fine. But yeah, it wasn't needed, I don't think, for this feud. But
no.
Yeah. So the next one I'm going to moan about, Anthony, is just that Raw Women's scene again. Like, oh my god. So this week, Nikki Ash eats a clean loss to Rhea Ripley. And then, Charlotte was out there on commentary, and Nikki thinks the right thing to do after losing to Rhea Ripley is to then go after Charlotte and start beating her up. And then, she's all of a sudden back in the ring with Rhea Ripley, and they're both almost celebrating. It's like, well, she just beat you? Like, what? And then, obviously, the promo before she went to the match wasn't good. It felt really off this week. Like she didn't even know what she was saying, or she didn't even believe in, what a character was about anymore. The fans were booing her. Just wasn't a great week, really, no. for the Raw women. And then, I don't know. Obviously, they then end up pulling double duty, and who did he bring into the mix as Nia Jax out of nowhere? And it was like, well, what?
Oh, she's not busy.
Not doing anything. Yeah, and obviously Charlotte goes on to win that one. So yeah, it was all just a bit of a clusterfuck. It was just didn't give me any excitement to watch the match at SummerSlam. So yeah, not good.
Yeah, indeed. So the last one I'm going to bring to the table, Carl, it echoes very similarly to what I was saying about the whole unnecessary element of Edge going back to the Brood, and that was adding a stipulation for Roman Reigns. This week he decided that if he doesn't win, he will leave the WWE. This is something that is clearly never going to happen. So straight away, that's like, okay, so you told us who's going to win this match. Like out of kayfabe, I get it. You're telling a story, but out of kayfabe, we know Roman's not going anywhere. You've fucking loved him for decades, so clearly he's going to win, or there's going to be some shenanigans and shit story involved. But there's no way he's leaving the WWE. So I found the stipulation unnecessary for a match that we're already looking forward to. It did nothing.
Yeah, it was so annoying, so fucking annoying. Like maybe surprisingly, I was on the fence with who was going to win this one. I obviously thought it was going to be Roman in our prediction series anyway, but I was kind of kicking myself thinking, well, before I saw this, thinking, well, maybe what they'll do is they'll have Cena win, he'll have the belt with him, take it to movie premieres and stuff, and then come back and basically do exactly what happened with The Rock.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah, right. So I was like, oh, I hope that doesn't end up happening and I'm wrong and stuff. But then as soon as I saw this promo, I was like, right, yeah, it's straight away. You've just revealed it. There's no way he's, leaving WWE. So yeah, it was unnecessary and it took a lot of sting out of the match for me.
I agree. Yeah.
So
that was it. That was it, Carl. That's all she wrote.
What would you say for all of WWE for this week?
I'm actually, might sound a bit harsh. I'm going to give it a 2 because for me, there was it wasn't like the worst thing I've ever seen, but when you consider this is them building up to one of their big 4 pay-per-views, and I don't think the things that were there that were even the stuff that was all right didn't really land or weren't really necessary. So I'm going to give it a 2. I don't think any of this week really mattered at all, which isn't great.
Completely agree. How many times did they get a go-home show completely wrong? Like the whole point of this, especially on a for SmackDown, which is like literally the day before, is to really make people make them make that decision. Oh, I absolutely have to see this, and straight away
exactly.
That was
I feel like they're so bad at like planning things these days that like they've already spent their like the creative stories or whatever. Like there's nothing left to say, and they've got another week, and it just feels like that happens so much, and it's like they just sat there like we have to tell some more story. Okay, how about the Brood? And yeah, it's like I don't know. They just it seems to happen like every time.
Yeah, it's not great. Certainly not great. But speaking about things which are great, so let's talk about some of the highlights from AEW this week. So the first one I want to talk about is just Sting, and what a mad bastard he is. How old is this guy? He's in his 60s, isn't he? Right? He's old, yeah?
I was fucking worried this week. Like, until I saw the match.
Yeah, so when we found out Sting has joined AEW, and we found out that he had like a wrestler profile with like a record and stuff on the roster page, we were like, oh god, they're not going to make him wrestle, are they? Right? And I think he's had 3 matches now, and this is like his 3rd one. They've all been tag teams, and every single one of them's been fucking brilliant. To be fair, obviously the cinematic one he had with Darby, the first one, and then he's had obviously 2 others. This one being the most recent, and just what a mad bastard he is. Like, for the age of him, he got thrown through fucking tables.
When they got that table out, I did not. I was thinking to myself, right, that's going to be set up. Darby's the mad cunt here, and the young one is like, and no, Sting takes the fucking bump through the table, like you say, absolute madman.
And like the beauty with it as well, right? Which I think gets overlooked with stuff like this. It's not like they've gone, okay, this is 60-odd-year-old Sting beating this super high profile guy that we've got. It's like they are fucking in there with 2.0, right? So it's not like it's super stellar competition, but at the same time, that just adds more to it because it's like the believability aspect. You know what I mean? I think if he was in there, beating the shit out of some prime main event character, then you'd be like,
I've got to be completely honest about this though, right? If this same shit had have happened in WWE, and this is how much I'll feed the trolls here, because if this had have happened in WWE, I would definitely be sat here bitching and moaning. Because let's face it, Sting didn't just win. He Scorpion Deathlock the pair of them together. That's the biggest fuck you to a young tag team ever, and I didn't mind it. I'll be honest, and that's just me being a mark maybe for AEW. But like, if this was WWE and they had like Goldberg, Spear, 2 of them at the same time, I'd be so pissed off. But this didn't bother me at all, and I'm just being completely honest. It should have.
Yeah, maybe I've got my AEW tinted glasses on, but no, I thought it was awesome.
I think it was impressive. It was for 62 years now. It was an impressive fucking match, actually. To be fair.
Yeah, no, it was really good, and I think the way they do it, the way they execute it is, they do it right. It's not, he's not like Hogan. He's not in there like some kind of superhuman or nothing like that. He's in there, and he does end up doing some crazy shit. But it's just Sting. It's his boss. I like it.
I love that the Hogan connection made as well. He no-sold the table bump.
Yeah, it's not like that. It's not like that. He's not indestructible.
But again,
stop coming at me with facts, man. Stop coming at me with facts.
I love what Sting's done to us, because everything that I would normally bitch about, I can't with him. He's just, like you say, it's just something about the way they've executed it. I'm just like, nah, you get to pass. I'm totally fine with this.
Yeah, me too. Not biased at all, though.
No, definitely not. So, another highlight I want to bring, firstly, just that Sami Guevara this week, as a lot of people know, he opened the show, and before the match, he proposed to his now fiancée, because she said yes. So, firstly, just a mad congratulations to the pair of them. That's brilliant. And then, obviously, goes on to have a match with Sean Spears. So, I'll actually even give a bit of credit to Sean Spears, Carl, because it's the first time in a long time I've thought to myself, you know what? The Pinnacle's doing good for him. He's actually becoming more relevant. Do you know what I mean? He hasn't really been much on AEW, let's be honest, since he moved there. But all around good match. Sami goes on to win it, I think rightly so. And a great match they had. So, yeah, brilliant. Brilliant news and brilliant match.
Agreed. Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, the next one I want to talk about that I'm calling a highlight. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are about it. But I'm a massive MMA mark. So I absolutely love Junior Dos Santos, obviously Andre Arlovski, proper old school legend who's obviously made a return as well not too long ago. So when obviously I found out that Lambert was going to be coming back on it, he was going to be bringing some backup, I was like, oh, who's this going to be? Was not expecting to see these 2 in the ring, so I was just thoroughly surprised. Now, his promo as well, I've got to give him some fucking credit, man. He cut a promo way better than fucking 99% of what the WWE talent could do. Do you know what I mean? It was a bit rambly and stuff like that. It was a bit, cancel culture this, all that kind of stuff. But you could tell he fucking had some passion and effort, and it came across really well, in my opinion.
Now, you know what? If there's an element, like a pang of truth or believability in what they're saying, and a bit of passion, then you're not going to land far wrong, to be fair.
No, and I honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed this promo. I didn't enjoy the whole segment. We'll come on to that. But I marked out to see them 2, and I thought, well, do you know what? For something just out of the middle of nowhere, decent promo. So yeah, fuck it, it's getting a highlight from me.
I'll give you that. I think as far as impact for me, I don't think it had quite the same. I've tried to dip in and out of MMA, but like it's not had the same impact as it did for you. So I probably didn't mark out. But yeah, like you say, it was decent, and I definitely understand why you've gone for a highlight on that one, and I can totally understand why it'd mean more to you as well, or any UFC fan.
Mm-hmm.
So next one I'm bringing to the table, Carl. Naturally, it's our favorite, two of our favorites, maybe, I don't know. But we had Thunder Rosa, who is now all elite, so absolutely made up that we get to see her regularly on AEW now. She had a match with Penelope Ford, which is nice to see, because you and I have often complained that she seems to be really good in the ring, yet acts as more of a valet and doesn't seem to do a lot of in-ring work. And every time we see her in the ring, she looks phenomenal. And what do we get? We got a match between Thunder Rosa and Penelope Ford. So fantastic. So great to see them get a bit of TV time. It was a good match. It wasn't like a rushed thing or anything like that. And to be honest, exactly as we have been saying for a while, Penelope Ford looked good. She looked great. And I think they brought out the best in each other there. And yeah, I think Thunder, this is clearly, well, say clearly, I'll get your opinion on it as well, Carl, but it looks like Thunder is clearly vying for the whole number one contender elements, and we'll likely get to see Thunder versus Britt Baker again soon enough.
Oh, I mean, it seems to be heading that way. I think she is number one contender at the minute. So it's like, what's going to happen there? We know that Britt has got into a bit of a thing with Jamie Hayter now, who's recently joined the company, obviously working with her. So,
do you know what? I'm quietly optimistic though that before she gets to Britt Baker, that we're going to end up with a banger of a match between Hayter and Thunder, which again has all the potential to be awesome.
Well, that's it. I think it speaks volumes now, and no disrespect to the earlier roster in AEW women's division, but now we're getting to a point where we can see matchups that we're like, okay, that would be good, or I'd like to see that.
I think it'll take a while for people to start admitting it, but the women's division is getting better, and I think they did react to the fact that it was pretty shocking at one point. But it like you say, there's more talent coming in, and it's looking better and better, and we're getting matchups like this, which are just fucking awesome. So,
yeah. So the next one, also controversial. I want to get your thoughts on it. It was a bit middle of the road, this, but there was enough in it to make it a highlight for me. It didn't deserve not being talked about, and it even though there was some things I didn't like, it wasn't a no shite. But I'm talking, of course, about Chris Jericho Mjf, the fifth labour of Jericho's 5 labours. So there was some awesome bits in this stuff that like the camera spot where MJF takes hold of the camera and you get to see it, and then fucking Jericho flips him off and beats the shit out of him and stuff. That was funny. Jericho's entrance, where obviously you couldn't have the Judas song being played, so the fans obviously did the heavy lifting there and sung. I
must admit that was a boss moment. That, to be fair, I did enjoy that.
Exactly. So that was good as well. And the match itself was good. Obviously we've seen this quite a few times, so it wasn't like one of the worst ones we've had. It wasn't probably one of the best ones, but it was still a good match. So yeah, it's one of them. I'd mentioned I did have a couple of caveats with it. So in hindsight, the whole labours was to get Chris Jericho to MJF. So why did he necessarily care who won? Why didn't he get in there with him and just fucking hit the Judas effect straight away for a DQ and just beat the shit out of him for 30 minutes?
I'll be honest, I quite like that he didn't, because it kind of means that not only did he want to get to him and he wanted to beat him, he wanted there to be no thing that MJF could come back with and say, well, you didn't adhere to the stipulation and that's why you won. He didn't even want those excuses being thrown about, which I think it was the right, I quite like the way they did that.
Yeah.
Almost a man of honour, despite the opportunity.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right, obviously, but I think for me, just being the cynic that I am, I just would have loved it if you just got in there and just fucking Judas affected him straight away.
The piss point was he was meant to be angry and he wanted to get his hands on him. So, like you say, you'd have agreed to anything to get to the point that you could kick the shit out of him. So I wouldn't have been offended if they'd have gone that way. But I like the fact that it's it was more thought out than that, because then there's no way MJF's going to rock up full of bandages the next week going, oh yeah, well, you cheated. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, that apparently didn't matter, as it turns out, with the finish of the match. But anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't a massive fan of that either. It's still a highlight, guys. Trust me. But I don't know. Just he did work the arm like throughout most of the match and stuff like that. But the fact he tapped out to him, I don't know, it would have been, because it seems like Jericho's going to go on tour with Fozzy for a bit, so he's going to be off telly for a while. So it felt like there could have been a better way to do this than just have him go off kind of soul searching about the fact that he didn't beat him, you know. But yeah, all in all, good match. These two are always good together, and interested to see what happens next with MJF now that his main foe has been vanquished. And then I think something else happened. I think there might have been one other highlight, Anthony.
You know what, Carl? Like, I'm going to have to go back on so many RC comments I've made over the fucking years because, right, and I couldn't think, honestly, like, we were speculating all this kind of stuff, right? I couldn't think of a better way that they executed this. And I'll get to my point right now, Carl. We had Rampage this week, and the first thing we get, the opener to the show, is Cult of Personality hits, and who walks out? CM Punk, right? The absolute right choice to open the show with this guy, because the crowd are already going fucking nuts chanting CM Punk before anything even happened. So I think they needed to get out of the way because Chicago wanted it, right? But at the same time, I think there's something about the guy being absent from wrestling and only like we only ever see the social media interactions or interviews or whichever that's made me sort of forget how much of a fucking legend he is or how much of a big deal he is, I suppose. So I will personally right now retract any of the cunty things I've said during the course of the last 2 years of this podcast about Punk, because this was such a great moment, and I dare say one that'll go down in the books, right? He come out, he was clearly made up to be back. He, like, there's that moment walking down the ramp, he just dove into the audience. He was, the crowd were lapping it up, he was lapping it up. It was a very impassioned promo, and it just couldn't have been any better. Like, there didn't need to be a match, there didn't need to be any of that. He straight away went into this whole, even the way they executed the Darby Allin thing, like, he come out, he mentions wanting to, like, I think the way he put it was like, there was younger talents here now who he wishes he could have faced back then, and he was sat there like, well, they're there now, why aren't you there? And I love the fact that he was like that's the right mentality to have, and then refers specifically to Darby Allin, who stood in the rafters with Sting, so you know they're both staring each other out in a way, and obviously we know that they're going to get the match between the two of them at I want to say All Out. Apologies, it was All In, I always forget. But I don't know. Everything about it I think was executed to perfection. Some people, like most of the internet community since this as well, have been massively positive, and I think that's the right way to do it. Even people, other podcasts that we know, etc., people who we're friends with on Twitter and that sort of thing, who are renownedly anti-AEW, even they were like, that was a fucking moment. Because regardless of whether you love AEW or not, or WWE or not, you can't deny that was a big deal.
I mean, you know, Jim Cornette, notorious for his hate of AEW, said, that's not how I would have booked it, but it was absolutely a million times better than how I would have booked it. So
like,
there you go.
Yeah, like that is a hell of a comment from Cornette straight away. But some people who love to find the negativity in everything they referenced, and we'll talk about it, Carl. This is absolutely 100% a highlight for me. And before I go into the other bits I'll talk about, I assume this was a moment for you, Carl.
Oh yeah,
were you crying?
No, I wasn't crying. I certainly had goosebumps though. It was just mad seeing him walk out. I mean, that crowd, I can't remember, you know, a time in recent memory where a crowd has been that electric. Like, it was insane. The roar of them, the chanting and everything. He comes out, you know, it wasn't quite Edge emotional kind of, you know, stuff, but obviously he came out, you could tell it affected him. So yeah,
there's always a level of
difference
in it, because Edge come back when he thought that like life had took that away from him, whereas CM Punk made the choice to leave. So I think there's always going to be that difference in feeling. But like you say, incredible moments. I just want to mention the negative Nancy's on the internet, Carl, because some people mention the fact that in his promo he talks about he left wrestling. You probably picked up on this. He mentions he left wrestling in 2005.
Yeah,
when he left Ring of Honor. And referring to now coming back to AEW, this is him returning to pro wrestling. And a lot of people go, oh, it's a jab at WWE and everything WWE different. And I'm like, no, I don't even think that's inaccurate. Even Vince McMahon doesn't think that they're wrestling. They tell stories, they make movies. So I don't even think it's is it necessarily a jab for CM Punk not to consider what he did with WWE to be pro wrestling?
No, I mean,
I don't know if he was trying to be a bitch. I don't feel like he was. I feel like he was just like that's what he loved in Ring of Honor, and that's what he's getting back to now. And like, love it or hate it, he didn't like what he did in WWE. Like,
no,
that's the bottom line of it.
He went there and became a sports entertainer. Like that thing that he said was not him going after WWE. You know, when he said he had to, leave, he couldn't. He had to leave the place that made him, sick and mentally fucking and all that.
Oh,
like,
he said he couldn't get better in the place that was making him sick or something.
That was a shot. But yeah, I don't think
that was.
Yeah.
But I was quite surprised. People like basically upset that he didn't acknowledge the years he spent there. But I don't think that was an inaccurate comment at all.
No, and I think
that's how he perceives pro wrestling.
People who say like, "Oh, WWE is what made you," like even that isn't true. He was nothing until he basically requested some time to get on the mic and did that promo. So he made himself on their platform. It wasn't like they wrote a character or an angle or something. To be honest,
for him. Like you kind of say that for like. I dare say there's been a couple where they've gone, "You're the guy, and we're going to write something and it works." I dare say that's happened, but most of the people in WWE haven't been made by WWE. They've made themselves on that platform. You're quite right, because WWE very rarely gives people the opportunity. Like there are people who've been in catering most of their careers, and when some of them get the opportunity and they make it work, and WWE recognizes it, then they become a big deal. Mm-hmm. I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't even think they were that into Jericho at one point, and he proved he was a big deal.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah.
But to me, if I was going to take umbrage to anything, and bear in mind, this is not me saying I do. I think everything was fucking spot on, and I'm so happy to see him back, and I'm so looking forward to Dynamite coming up because he's on Dynamite next week. But if anything, it would have been the ice cream bars reference.
Yeah.
But fuck it, if you were there, that's free ice cream, so even that's not a problem. But that was probably the only thing I'd be like, okay, that's a bit of a nod in it. But fuck it, everyone there got a free bar of ice cream, so
yeah,
go pub.
Yeah. But no, it's mad, isn't it? 2021, CM Punk is back. He's back in the competition, whether people want to call them that or not. But makes it an exciting time to be an AEW fan, and I imagine a lot of new AEW fans as well off the back of this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. It's like a weird fucked up time machine at the minute. And this isn't a negative comment, but it's a weird fucked up time machine at the minute, isn't it? That we've got like CM Punk he's a big deal. We've got John Cena in the main event scene. Roman Reigns is being pushed as the next big thing. Goldberg's there. Like what
Edge
year are we living in? Is this 2021?
Christian's a world champ. Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah. Christian's like Impact champion. Like what year are we actually in right now?
I know. It's
madness.
So that being said, not everything was swimming on AEW. I nearly said Dynamite. I'm still not used to having two shows. Not everything went swimmingly on AEW this week. So a minor one, but one that just pissed me off a bit. Just me personally was obviously Malachi Black and Cody had their thing, and Cody was going to retire, blah blah blah. But that didn't happen. He got beat up again. Yeah, Arn Anderson obviously on Malachi's debut got kicked in the head, and we haven't seen him either. And then we're now going to get Brock Anderson, so Arn's son, and also a member of the Nightmare family, going up against Malachi Black, and it's just like, but why?
I found this a bit fucked up because like you're not going to use this to push Brock because no one's going to buy that, so Malachi's going to have to tear through him. So what is the point in this? Just more fodder for Malachi, I guess, while we're deciding where we're going.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Like it doesn't seem like they've got a direction with him now. Like if they're not going to pick it back up with Cody straight away, then why are they still sticking it with the Nightmare family stuff?
They're going to build up to like they're going to have a stipulation match where it's like the first one to take off the boots wins, and that's the match he's going to have with Cody next. You have to be able to take both boots off successfully in the ring to win the match.
I was going to say Malachi will come out just without any boots on. It's like mind games, Cody.
Well, you got I don't know where Riddle debuts, and naturally he's won straight away.
Yeah,
just kicks them both off and lands like done.
So yeah, a minor one, but one just thought it was a bit silly.
I agree. So Carl, only real shite I've got for AEW from my side of it anyway. I would say, let's talk about Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk monster, the Archer of Infamy. Just kidding. What's going on with his booking? Like he literally beat Moxley the other week. Now he's feuding with Lambert, and yeah, like attacked by Men of the Year they called on his entrance.
Mm-hmm.
It's I feel like this. To be honest, I don't feel like he's ever really had a direction, but it feels particularly kind of inconsistent and directionless at the moment.
Yeah,
like
even for him.
Honestly, the best he had was when he was probably going for the TNT title,
and
then he obviously didn't win, and now it's like we're back to old form. But I don't know. I'm actually starting to feel sorry for him because I don't know what's going for you. I know everyone can't be a star at the same time, but for fuck's sake.
Well, it's a proper mad one because he's obviously, upper mid card, but they can just never seem to pull the trigger on him. Whenever he starts to build some momentum, then he ends up doing shit like this. Like, as you said, he beat Moxley for the IWGP title literally a couple of weeks ago. And then all of a sudden he's part of this thing with like Dan Lambert and stuff. But then, he brings JDS and Arlovski there as his backup, and then Archer comes down, and then all of a sudden behind him are Men of the Year. And it's like, well, what? Like, why? Like, none of it made sense. And it's just like, it's just, it's still a step above him just going through beating random people up backstage and like throwing them through like the roof and stuff.
Yeah, I suppose it's an improvement to that.
But still, I just feel for the guy. He's obviously got something, but he just, direction is not.
I'll be honest,
like
I've always said like I've never been a big fan of the character because it feels like they're slapping together a load of things that are meant to be badass. Hence the Murder Hawk monster thing. But even I'm starting to feel sorry for him now. I'll agree with you there.
Yeah. So yeah, that was AEW this week, Anthony. I'm going to be bold. I'm going to be brash. I'm going to be brave. I'm going with a 4.5.
Wow.
I honestly think Dynamite was a really, really strong episode of Dynamite. So that in itself would have got 3.5 up 4, something like that. And then, some Scott Steiner math for you. But then you add Punk into the mix. And the chances of getting a 4.5 drastic improve. And
then you got the fact that you're a genetic freak. That changes it.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's too reactionary. I don't know, but I'm going with it. 4.5. I just think, CM Punk is back in pro wrestling. That moment and everything that they did on Rampage was fantastic. Dynamite itself was a really good quality show. I've got it. Yeah, I'm going for it.
I'm not far off, to be honest. I'm going with a 4. I would precursor that with saying Rampage probably would have been a 5 if I was looking at it by itself, because I think the entire hour was worked perfectly. But overall, all of AEW this week, I'd probably go for a 4, and that's just a couple of things that didn't work. But as you say, it was still a solid week for Dynamite and a fantastic week for Rampage. So not far off your score, Carl, but I'd probably go with a 4 myself.
Okay, I'll allow it. I'll accept it. Not like I'm biased or anything anyway. Here's one for the YouTube fans. No. Not wearing any kind of AEW t-shirts or nothing. But so in terms of what happened elsewhere this week, so Impact had the Emergence pay-per-view. One of the matches was a battle royal, which was won by Ace Austin to basically crown the new number 1 contender for the world title. So I've not seen much of Ace Austin, I'm not going to lie. What I have seen does, intrigue me a bit. He's got an interesting look, an interesting gimmick. And so, yeah, it's going to be an interesting challenge for the winner of the world title match that took place.
Well, Carl, speaking of that, like my next one will actually be that. I've been umming and ahhing about this because I was convinced Christian wasn't going to keep hold of the title for very long. And I've come to the decision that it's probably not a bad thing, right? And that's no offense to Brian Myers, but obviously the match he had was against Brian Myers. He retained the title. So we are clearly setting up for Cage versus Ace Austin. And again, part of me was I was expecting him to move the title over, and then that's Impact sort of back to the norm, as it were. But Christian's still a big deal. And is Brian Myers the person to take the belt from him? I don't know. That's no disrespect to Brian Myers, but I don't know. I don't even think he's been built up enough in AEW, in Impact to say that let's pull the trigger on that. So I'm going to call it a good thing, and I think the right decision was made. And honestly, like you say, I don't know a lot of Ace Austin, but it should be a really good match between the two.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I think the right man won as well, so agree with you there. And the last one, closing out what happened in the world of wrestling this week, is the legend that is Matt Cardona. Rocked up to GCW's Off the Rails, dressed up like Do-Rag Vince from the ECW days, and yeah, just so fucking funny. He's such a troll.
I love about the internet community, the internet wrestling community. Like Cardona can do this, which by the way I thought was fucking funny as well, right? Which is just a totally no veil at all, like jab at WWE and Vince McMahon, and that's fine. And then people are like looking for things with Punk. Like, he said, he didn't say the thing he didn't say. And it's like, I know, yeah, he's having a jab, isn't he? And it's like, Matt Cardona's there dressing like Vince McMahon when he held the ECW fucking title. Like, I thought it was quite ingenious because it's obviously a nod to people thinking that he shouldn't be holding the belt he's got as well. But yeah, I think, why not? Why not be cheeky like that? I think it was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, he's proper impressed me, Cardona. I think he's proven now several times that he can get over on his own, no matter where he is and what he's doing.
That's the thing. Like, I was a bit. I didn't care that he left AEW. He didn't really do much in AEW, and I was like, it's just, I can't even remember Zack Ryder. You know what I mean? It wasn't really much happening. But like you say, he's proved so much that he can get over, and like, this was definitely what he needed. He needs some time just doing his own thing, and he has fucking impressed with this. Like, who'd have thought GCW would be the thing he'd end up doing? It's crazy.
I know, it's mad. But no, it seems to be going down really well as well, unless you are a hardcore GCW fan, in which case you want to murder the guy.
Well, yeah, you'll always hate him. Like, they're protective of their own thing, aren't they? They're always going to hate the guy. But is it the right kind of heat? Probably, in all fairness.
Yeah.
Because imagine the pop when he eventually loses it to whoever they deem is worthy.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I believe randomly it might be Juventud Guerrera, because he was also there at the show. Wow. So, yeah, he made a claim saying he's interested in going after that belt. So, yeah, who knows? But that, Anthony, was another fine week across the world of wrestling, and that was, of course, this week in wrestling. So yeah, a lot of mad stuff happening all across the board, really. So yeah, we will be back talking the latest news, the latest rumours, and all the fallout from SummerSlam after this noise.
You're watching or listening
to A to the K.
The A to the K.
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 These guys are awesome. Check it out.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.